All right, everybody. This is Steve with Real Progresses and Real Progress in Action. Tonight, I'm going to try and take you on a journey through our website because I think our website is very important. I haven't really been able to show anybody this, and I'm not sure if anybody's really paid attention to this. We got one hell of a website. I mean, it's one of the best websites I've seen out there, especially for a bunch of folks just trying to get by, right? So I want you to take a look at this, and I'm hoping that this will help you all get more use out of our services, find Real Progresses to be more of a home, and find it to be a way of really activating and using the tools that we present as a way of getting information out there, especially regarding modern monetary theory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the website, and I'm hoping that this right here will really give you guys an understanding of all the vast resources that we have come to put together. I am going to make myself a tiny person and I am going to make it so that you can see this and see me as I'm going through it. So ultimately, our website is made up of our home, which is got some good stuff on it. We have a petition that we're trying to get for the Medicare for all, target the United States government to get them to realize that we all want Medicare for all. So there's the Action Network right there. We've got this great video that we put together about the New Deal and all the way up through history, how the New Deal became the No Deal. And there's an article associated with this by JD Alt. We're also looking to capture folks that have been impacted by the great financial crisis who lost their homes or were foreclosed upon, because there's a lot of stuff you maybe don't know about the foreclosure mills that are going, especially given this very rough time as we're coming out of COVID. Many people will be in very vulnerable places. So we're looking to get people together so we can organize around that foreclosure process and also some of the fraud. So right there on the screen, if you look, this right here is our check-in. And if you want to look at this right now, we can show you the new Untouchables, which is one of our series. Right here, this is where you fill that information out. It pops right up. Just tell us who you are, a little bit about what you, how to reach you, and whammo, we'll get back to you. But if you go to the new Untouchables page on our website, it's fantastic. I mean, we're talking about season 2 of the new Untouchables. It's all right here under our media. If you go under media, you have our book club, you have Macro and Cheese podcast, you have the new Untouchables, you have our articles, you have the RP bookshelf, you have our MMT Mondays, mixed media platforms, and Dreadnought, which will be our publication for our writers. Hopefully, it'll be long form type journalism, similar to Jacobin and other things. And then we've got our Get Involved. We got our events calendar. We got our merchandise. If you want to volunteer, our newsletter, the Progressive Compass. All of our different newsletters are right here. If we get back out, go back to our new Untouchables momentarily. We ran a marathon today for all of season 2. And it's really great stuff. I mean, our web designer, Julie, did wonderful work with this. If you can look through here, you've got Patrick Lovell, you got Eric Vaughn, you've got myself. How to reach us, our Twitter handles, you name it. And then we get into the actual videos. Now, the new Untouchables is a little different than the other stuff because we did it both in video format and we have it in audio format. And I think it's just fantastic. I hope you all have checked this out. If not, the new Untouchables, we just did podcast on Macro and Cheese with Eric and Patrick and myself talking about what we've learned over the course of this entire 2 seasons now. And we've got so many more episodes still in the back burner waiting to be released weekly. So this will probably play out until, gosh, I don't know, Halloween, maybe longer. And it's worth every second of it. But if you go through here, you can see all of our episodes right there. And these are all podcasts. These are audio podcasts. And see that right there? It says full episode page with transcript. You click on that, guess what you get? You get that episode. And because we're trying to get people to sign up, you get this pop up. But if you scroll down, you see all of the videos, all the episodes of the new Untouchables and their artwork. You can leave comments. It would be great for people to give us feedback. But right here is an audio only player. And if you see that subscribe button, you can subscribe right there and you can get all of the new Untouchables podcasts right to your phone. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm hoping that people will take a look at this. But if you look, we have show notes. So you want to click on the show notes, it tells you all about the episode. Go in here to transcripts. We have curated transcripts, literally curated. We have a computer that does it first, and then we have 2 humans that edit it after that, and we format it, and there you go. And then we also have extras for every one of these episodes. We have the different people, we have different links, Ferdinand Pecora, you name it. And then if you want to download the podcast, right there's your download button. Pretty nice. And so if you come back here, I'm going to take you to our Macro and Cheese podcast now. Macro and Cheese has been my long running show that I've done. Many people probably don't know it because we don't do video with this one. We just do audio. But if you look, it's got a sticky player that pops up for the first episode or the current episode. And in this case, we're up to episode 132. And I think that you'll find this to be really, really well done. I mean, I'm very, very happy with the website. Every one of our podcasts has unique, fresh, real artwork done by our graphic artist, Andy Kennedy. And Andy also, Giacometti Trades, also is the video editor and the graphics dude, right? So, and he does the sound engineering, just does so much. But if you see, we've got some big names that have come through here. And I don't think most people know about it because for whatever reason, the only thing they look at is YouTube. Folks, we do them on YouTube as well, but podcasts are great because you could be mowing the lawn, you could be in the shower, you could be driving to work, you could do them whatever and listen to them without having to be stuck staring at a screen. You got the opportunity to listen to all of our podcasts. And if you look, I mean, gosh, we got Warren Mosler, we got Fadl Kaboub and Bill Black, Ron Gray, Bill Mitchell, Steve Keen. I mean, tons of them. And you go back through here, I mean, Mike Figueredo, Bob Hockett, Jen Perlman. We've got Brian Romachuk, Sandy Darity, and Kirsten Mullen. Anyway, just the same as the other ones, though. If you come through here and you get into the, let's go back here. Let's go all the way to the beginning, back when it all began, and look at putting the T in MMT. It looks very similar to the new Untouchables, doesn't it, in terms of the way it's set up? Well, that's because we're consistent. We try to be. And you come through here, you've got the sticky player, you got the transcript, show notes, transcript. See the sticky player jump back out. But with the curated transcripts, I mean, we're giving you a PhD level understanding, not because of my great, wonderful ideas, but because of the experts we bring on. I try to add value, but let's be fair. The experts we bring on are top notch. But here you go. You've got the full transcripts and extras. I mean, to me, well, this one doesn't have extra. I guess it was prior to us jumping to this. But anyway, I just wanted you to see this. We also, let me go back under media. We have our RP bookshelf. And I think this is really great because for those people wondering what they can read, we've got it all right here. All the good books that matter to us, they're all right here in our bookshelf. And each of our guests that have written a book, we try to showcase their work. Hopefully you get a chance to look at this. I think it's fantastic. And if you look at our MMT Mondays, Caleb Mood really does a great job of doing the MMT Mondays. And so if you look through here, all of our MMT Monday episodes are right here. The MMT Mondays playlist is right there. I mean, it's pretty freaking awesome. Each one of them, as you can see, has fresh artwork as well. And down here, we got all of our 7 knowledge areas. Now, for those of you who don't know, we do more than modern monetary theory. Economic justice, environmental ecological justice, peace with justice, equality with justice, democracy, health and well-being, and technology and innovation. I mean, that pretty much makes up the area space that involves the left and progressive movement. And for even people that aren't lefties, if they want to learn about this stuff, we've got a ton of things. And I'll just click on this just for example. If you go to peace with justice, we've got some very important information stuff that you probably find yourself agreeing awful lot with, like peace with justice. To have real peace, we must end war on drugs, prison pipeline, the dangers of military industrial complex, police brutality, on and on and on. And this is where you can find those knowledge areas as well. All of them are right here, our focus. And then if you come over here to MMT, modern monetary theory, this is where you can find all the goodies. We kind of break out what we've got about what is MMT. And if you look at the front page right here at the top, you've got a great little presentation that you can go through. And it really answers a lot of those questions out there that you have. I mean, we're not talking about a deep dive here. We're talking about people that just want the facts, just a quick overview, so they at least know what they're talking about. It's right here. You come through, and I think it's really well done. It's nice. It's not, just thrown together. We took a lot of time and effort to make this as good as you could be. You could be. So I'm hoping that you guys find some benefit to this. I mean, come down here, it's all the articles that we have tied to this. A lot of these are by experts. Some of these are by myself, which I'm not an expert, but I'm a fair-minded one. I think I know a little bit. Got a lot of these great memes down here that we've done regarding some of the best and brightest. Things that we feel are important, we've highlighted. So please leverage our website for your MMT debates, just to learn, to enjoy. Hopefully, it's aesthetically pleasing as well. Then over here, we've got the About Us. And if you look about us, we got our organization, we got our mission statement. Real Progress is an independent, nonpartisan organization dedicated to educating, advocating, and activating and empowering people to truth and progressive change across the globe, because we're bigger than the US, man. We're looking all around the world. And you can just kind of go through this, and it tells you about our structure. Real Progressives focus on 4 distinct work areas we call pillars: the policy pillar, education pillar, activism pillar, and media. Our activism pillar is a 501c4, which is separate from the 501c3 of Real Progressives. It talks about what each of our pillars do. Then you come back over here. There's the founder's story. Yep, I got a little page of my own here, and tells a little bit of a story about where I came from and how I came to MMT and how I came to start the organization. And for those of you who don't know my story, there it is right there. It's not a long story, but each of my videos that I do and all the podcasts I do, I try to interlace aspects about how I came to learn this stuff and so forth. And obviously, you can get involved. We have a merchandise shop that's pretty cool. Not here pimping product. I'm just trying to show you. We got a lot of cool stuff, and hats and apparel and accessories. Lots of good stuff. All of our shows. We got coffee cups, T-shirts, you name it. Love the hat. On lots of cool stuff. And here, let me go through a couple more pages of it just to show you what we got. I told you guys about Dreadnought. Dreadnought's our publication that has not been launched yet, but we got merchandise in preparation for it. Pretty cool logo, I think. Hopefully you guys find it awesome. And we got other Tic Tacs, friggin' like an iPhone case, and there's our macaroni and cheese shirts, stickers, you name it. So if I come back over here, back out of the merchandise shop, and I come back over here again to media, I just want to show you, I don't see it on here, but we also have another show that's not represented on here called The Up and Up, and we need to change that. So that's one of the things. Jody Newell does a great job with The Up and Up, and it needs to have a home on our website. We have an events calendar, which is pretty sparse at the moment, but we're working on it. And then, of course, we have our Real Progress in Action 501c4. And so this is our other sister site. Um, hopefully you guys dig through, find things that are of interest to you. I'm not going to go through this one. I'm going to get us back to the RP website. And if you come back here to About Us one more time, we've got our history. This is really awesome. We've got pictures and stuff going all the way back to Grumbine's political mosh pit. We've even got some fun things like me front row at a Taproot concert right there. It's pretty funny. The lead singer, Steve, he grabs my cell phone from me and so forth. But before there was Real Progressives, there was Grumbine's political mosh pit. And so just for grins, add these things in here. And I keep waiting for him to grab the phone from me. It's coming up any second now, but I'm not going to hold on. There's my buddy Phil Lipscomb. Here he goes. I think he grabs it right now. Let's see. See if we can get him. There it is. He grabs my cell phone, and there's Steve. Hey. And he kindly gives it right back to me. So that's me at Taproot. And anyway, bunch of cool old school pictures going way back, the original RP logos and banners going back to 2015 and 2016. I mean, just a lot of really cool stuff. And then lots of faces that used to be here that maybe you forgot about. There's me and Jackie Lukeman, who was one of the early streamers. There's Bruce Carter from Black Men for Bernie. Get back down here. There's oh, goodness gracious. That's a young Nico House before he had the blonde at the Washington in the Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument. And just so much cool stuff. And here's me with some of the MMTers out there at different conferences and so forth. I think it's a lot of fun. And the website is well thought of. And here's a trip down memory lane that I sometimes cry about even. All sorts of old timers that were very, very instrumental in helping set things up here. I oftentimes wonder what would have happened if personalities didn't get in the way, but my goodness, that was a great team right there. We got a great team now, but it's different. Those guys right there, they were a great squad. We had a wonderful thing going on, and you know how it goes, man. You know how it goes. So, in any event, I'm hoping that between our focus, the modern monetary theory, all of our articles, you name it, that you find a way to get what you need out of this and help us to advance this knowledge, help us to advance this knowledge, um, because this is our vehicle. This is how we do it. And, I wish there was a better way. I wish there was a better way to get information out to people. I don't have the 3-minute words, the quick blurbs that some of the younger folks have on Twitter. Drives me crazy. I have lots of things to say and lots of knowledge to provide and lots of insights to give. But when you look back at the way Twitter operates, it's kind of like high school. If you're not in the clique, they don't look at you, even if what you said is like the most smart thing in the world. But it's very important to know that we do in fact have not only the website, but we have Twitter. Real Progress US is our Twitter handle. RP_ in action is our other Real Progress in Action Twitter handle. We got the Cheese Macro, which is Macro and Cheese Twitter handle. We also have the New Untouchables Twitter handle, and we also have the S Word, which is a new podcast coming out which I'm very excited about. That'll probably be out in September. We have got quite a few of the episodes already recorded. We got really cool skits that we put together. We were doing a play off of Little Red Riding Hood, and it became Little Dead Riding Hood. And they had me as the voice of Quinn in the bottom of the Orca talking about, I 1,000 men went into the water, 316, kind of thing. And so be looking for the S word to be coming out in the not too far off future as well. But ultimately, we have got so many resources. We're on Rockfin. Now, we're not doing exclusive content, and I'll tell you why. The stuff we're doing is not intended to be infotainment. We would love for you to be entertained when we do what we do, and hopefully we'll be able to provide even more of that, even though that's not really what we do. What we do is provide information, all right? Because we're a nonprofit and our work is to educate. So if we put things behind a paywall, people that don't know this stuff aren't going to necessarily pay to get it. So we have to make it free, which means we're heavily reliant on your donations because we're not going to charge for our content. We just can't. It won't be effective to making our mission statement come to reality. Without having donations, we're screwed. Um, Clickbait titles, I love it. I mean, it's really, really challenging, if you will, to come up with those clickbait titles and clickbait graphics and all that stuff. I'm not a clickbait guy, man. I'm that guy that walks into a party and is like a straight shot of 151. You know what I mean? So it's like I, I don't do well with the small talk in that sense because I am so mission focused. Maybe I need to lighten up. Maybe I need to smoke a J. I don't know. But one way or the other, we're going to work on it. We're also, interestingly enough, on Instagram. We got a fairly decent following on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. Um, but ultimately, we have a lot of resources, an incredible amount of resources. And we're looking to have you help us get that word out. It's important stuff. And I don't know anybody else that's doing what we're doing. And that's both good and bad, right? Because we're a unique organization. We create a lot of haters because we're unapologetic and we don't back down. Bottom line, that's the deal. We're not trolls. We're very driven, and we know what the hell we're talking about. That's why we started. That's why we do what we do, and we're tapped into people that know even more than what we know. And we're a good entry point into things because we're activists. So we have an activist focus in the work that's going on. We have an activist focus in both educating and empowering. I want to be honest. Our team is largely made up of, drumroll please, a rainbow. We have everyone under the sun. We have women in our leadership team. We have gay people. We have straight people. We have Filipino people. We have all people of color. We have all sorts of folks. But we could always be more diverse. But we're trying really, really hard to diversify and grow and to start building out chapters, state by state, county by county, location by location. But we need you to help us do that. I'm a project manager by trade. And so part of what I do is I try to line up the pieces. I try to set the timelines. I try to build the projects to allow us to do those things and execute on them. Because we have very limited finances, obviously. And more importantly, though, there's not a soul on this team that receives a paycheck, and that's myself included. We'd like to change that at some level at some day, at least be able to provide. We've got some people here working lots of hours. I didn't even want to get in how many hours because if you knew how many hours I worked on this, you'd be just going nuts. I mean, what is it, 12:34 a.m. right now? And I'm doing this live stream. Why? Because I'm a father and my son's autistic and I put his needs above my own at all times. And so when can I go live? I go live when it doesn't impact his life. And so that limits my visibility in terms of video and stuff. But I do a podcast every single Saturday. It's released at 8 a.m. And they are, I'm not going to lie, I think they're very, very good podcasts. They're well engineered, great guests, great content, and all of it is evergreen. So you can listen to any one of these podcasts. They're intended to be an education tool. They're not intended to be infotainment. They're not intended to be, okay, what's the next one? Each one of them is valuable, even in this moment, even ones that were done 2, 3 years ago. They're all valuable now. We did them intentionally that way. Intentionally, we did it that way. And so I'm hoping that we become a resource to you. I'm hoping that you understand our limitations because we're busy running 50 miles an hour behind the scenes trying to put on webinars. Oh, you know what? I'm going to share my screen one more time here. And this right here is an important thing that I did not talk about. And I don't know why I didn't talk about it. Maybe because I'm just tired. I don't know. But this is the RP Book Club. And the RP Book Club is really, 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 really important. We have had Pavlina Chernova, excuse me. We've had her book, The Case for a Job Guarantee. We've also had Stephanie Kelton's book, The Deficit Myth, on here. And if you look, this is really nice. We have the book club, tells you when it was, gives you more info about the book club and the book, all the different videos, and the Q&A from the playlist. Because honestly, when you go through here, we just go through each one of these things and all the questions from the chapters, and we have experts that come on to work with us for each of these. And you can see, I mean, we've done quite a bit. I don't know what other groups do, and I'm not necessarily interested in what they do, but I want you to know that what we do is we really put our time and effort into trying to educate people. And sometimes it's a thankless job. I'm not even going to lie. It's a thankless job, but it's one that's worth it because when you've got someone like John Yarmouth from the, I guess it's the Democratic Budget Committee or Banking Committee, one way or the other. I think it's Budget Committee. He came out the other day and literally put on a clinic for MMT, literally put on a clinic. And it was like the biggest celebration. I've been doing MMT stuff going back to 2007, 2008. I really, really didn't get on board until like 2012. That's when I really started getting involved. And then by, 2016, I was a fire breathing MMTer. And now, I mean, the good news is I'm still learning. Just ask Warren Mosler. He comes and corrects me. And Bill Mitchell is never too afraid to come by and correct me. So, but I do my best. I do my best. And I hope my best is good enough to make you see value in our organization. I'm not joking. I think I'm going to tell you, I put in about 80 hours a week doing this. I put in more hours a week doing this out of hours from my day job than I don't even know what to say. 80 hours a week easily. And I think I'm being conservative. I think it's probably more than that. I know that my wife would tell you it's more than that. So just know that we really put our heart and soul into this. If we're wrong, if we piss somebody off, believe me when I say this, our goal is to win. It's not to piss people off. Although sometimes people need to be pissed off, and sometimes it's okay to piss people off because the truth is the truth. And we want to be true north of the progressive movement. We don't want to deviate. We don't want to take shortcuts. We want to focus on the right answers to the right problems. And we want to make sure that we're in the right place to help. There's a healthy dose of pragmatism and yet thinking ahead and not staying in a box that somebody else created for you. You know what I mean? Like there's good logical sense in doing certain things, but then there's other things that you can start thinking about. And I'll tell you some of the things that we've taken on lately. We've been fighting, and I hate to be fighting, but we've been fighting with groups like Whole Washington and others that are pushing state-based Medicare and other type of state-based solutions that they haven't really thought about what the MMT angle is in terms of currency user, currency issuer. Now, I will tell you point blank, and I'll show you this right now so you see I'm telling the truth. Every time we run into a problem, we try and do some video or series on it, right? So let me just let you in on a little bit of thinking here so it makes sense. We did these episodes right here, Beyond the Black Jacobins, the Haitian Revolution with Pascal Robert. We did that one because it's a setup for our podcast, The S Word. This one right here as well, The Geopolitics of the Russian Revolution with Esha, for that purpose as well. Patrick and Love and Eric Vaughn and I, we just released this one today. That's support of the new Untouchables. But going right here, this is where it starts getting really interesting. Randall Ray came on, How We Fund Policy Matters. And this was extremely good because it was a very balanced look at state-based solutions. And Randall Ray is sympathetic to that cause, but he recognizes the economic challenges that it presents and the lack of sustainability it creates. We also had Corey Doctorow, who's a fantastic writer, come in and talk about the eviction moratorium or ending and what we could be looking at with foreclosures as well. And then down here we have Warren Moser. People were talking about inflation. So what do? We brought the father of modern monetary theory in to talk about interest rates. We talk about degrowth with Lorenz Kaiser, and I'm currently booking with Dr. Jason Hickel, who is the king of degrowth. Really, really fantastic. And then, super important one, after having a private Zoom with the whole Washington board, Jason Call and others, we weren't able to necessarily make them see our point of view, that state by state wasn't really good because out of the 50 states that are out there, only 5 of them really have the kind of fiscal space to perform some of the large programs. California, of course, because it's got the 5th largest economy in the world, New York, etc. But what about the rest of them, right? So if you're trying to say state by state, you need to understand not only the CAFR, or Comprehensive Annual Fiscal Report, that each state puts out so you can understand where they fit in their fiscal space to know whether or not they have the ability. Because how do schools get funded? Schools get funded by zip codes. When zip codes lose their tax base because people leave because they don't like the tax structure, those schools suffer majorly. Okay. And then what do? In the race to the bottom, they start raising taxes, more people leave. And eventually it becomes one of those rundown city school programs that we could easily fix. And by the way, did you know that there's no legal right to an education in this country? Something to be talked about in another time. But bottom line is Bill Black is a criminologist, but he's also a legal scholar, and he's also an economist, a microeconomist, an MMT Micro Foundations guy. So between Fadl and him, we talked at length about the real challenges of state-based programs. And also, we took it a step further and showed how Medicare for all needs to be part of the framework of a Green New Deal. Very important stuff. Most people don't talk about it. They do orphan politics. I'm only focused on Medicare for all. I'm only focused on this. And what do? They miss the interconnected inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques of all these programs. We're here to try to help fill that void. And these podcasts, each one of them, have that specific intent. If you go down here, we're talking about not investing in crypto, but literally the legal framework and what is coming with crypto, not the crypto coins so much as the crypto framework and space and governance of that private exchange and all the other things that go with it. Ron Gray's an expert, testified before Congress. He's done a bunch of things. Fantastic guy. Bill Mitchell, who is what many of us would call the father of the job guarantee within the MMT movement, Australian, talked about his case against basic income. Many people don't even want to hear about that because they've been sold a lot of stuff from the Yang Gang and so forth. Bill Mitchell, expert in job guarantee and understanding these things, really, really does a clinic on why the UBI is not a good thing. Steve Keen took issue with labor theory of value. So we went through that. I'm a socialist. Didn't hurt my feelings at all. But we got an expert in Steve Keen coming and talking about that. And if you scroll down a little bit more on this page, you get to the other episodes. I just want you to see how we do these things. So Mike Figueredo came on because he had me on his show. But in reality, he learned MMT. We did one of the best shows I've ever done on his channel. He came back, paid the favor back, and talked about what it was like to have that awakening. We talked about the first 100 days of Biden. We had Jen Perlman come on and talk about building a web, a network. So each of these things has had a huge, major impact, and we're answering questions that have come to us. So I hope you see the value here. We had Sandy Darity and Kirsten Mullen come and talk about From Here to Equality and really go through the operational and policy space for reparations for ADOS, in particular in the United States, not focusing on the diaspora, but the United States. And of course, we have things going on in the European Union as well. So I want you all to see each of these episodes has a distinct purpose. It's not just some random clickbait. There's a deeper thing. Each one of them is about an hour long. But because it's audio, who cares? You can be running, jogging on the treadmill and listen. It's great stuff. Anyway, all right. So with that, I'm gonna get back to this momentarily. And I'm hoping that you see that we are so much more than just MMT. I'm hoping that you see that we've got a lot of resources that we've been working really hard to build for you and us. And we learn every time we provide it to you. We're a partner in this space. Every one of these alt media folks, every one of the different progressive groups and leftist groups out there, we've got something to offer to every one of them if they'll listen, if they'll see our insights with economics, especially macroeconomics, if they'll look to us and see us as a value-added partner, if they'll look to us to understand that the root of all of our problems, aside from not having a functioning democracy, is a lack of economic knowledge. God, could I have not picked a worse subject to make my primary area of activism? But this is the challenge that we stepped up to. And so I'm hoping that you all find value in our work. I really am. And I know that I know it's a challenge. I know it's a challenge. But it's my hope that you guys will ultimately see us in the way that we see ourselves, which is a value. And you'll take advantage of what we're trying to do. And I don't know, I guess that's about it. So let me take a look at the chat real quick, see if we have any comments from people that are interested in learning or signing up. Regardless, I just haven't looked at these because I've been going through the website, so I'm peekabooing around. Let me see what we got here. Jesus is we're really great to have you here. Hey, Jesus, it's great here to have you, Andrew. Steve, here, let's put this up. Steve, do you think one of the major causes of inflation was caused by Biden closing the Keystone pipeline since it takes oil to transport everything? There's definitely an oil output shortage right now, but I think it's more Saudi based. A lot of the oil that we have coming in this country that we use from our own, we don't even, it's really not the primary source of what we're using. Do I think it caused inflation? Well, one of the very few things about fuel that is different than any other commodity is that petroleum products are in everything. They're in plastics, they're in lubricants, they're in cleaners, they're in paints, they're in everything. So, do I think a shortage in that could cause inflation? Absolutely. Do I think it caused this one? Maybe some, but I think what the primary issue with what's going on right now is mostly a relative value story where supply chains were basically shut down. Look at the lumber industry, for example, and the housing industry. And I think a lot of it came from a lot of demand push. We ultimately had um, a huge demand here coming up now that people are finally unmasking and running out the door ready to play. Now all of a sudden industry has to keep up with that, and industry hasn't caught up with that. Remember that workers that are thinking about going on strike. So ultimately, I think a lot of it has to do with the supply chains, the global supply chains, and natural pandemic breaks in the supply chains really caused a tremendous amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Tremendous amount of shortages, which obviously drives prices up. And I do believe it's temporary for sure, because no capitalist ever wants to leave money on the table. If there's money to be made, they want to have product to be sold. So there's that. The other thing, and this is very serious, is I think a lot of price gouging went on and is going on right now. I think monopoly, anti-monopolist type legislation, and thinking we need to get into that kind of mindset that we're ready to take on trust busting, that we're willing to go out there and break up these big companies and stop these monopolies from basically being able to become the price setter, and the only offerer of. So I think there's a lot there to the inflation story, if there is any real inflation, and I really don't think there is. But you got housing. Why is housing going up? Well, BlackRock has bought up so much of the houses around here. They're trying to create a renter America that they can control the housing as well. Okay. I think obviously, like I said, the lumber shortage is really based on the fact that the pandemic and the lack of building during that time really had a significant impact on supply. So, do I think demand kept up, or do I think the supply kept up? No. So, I think there's opportunities there for it to come back down. Anyway, let's see what other things we might have going on in here. Big agree on the price gouging. Let's put this up here. Big agree on the price gouging. They jack prices up some for actual supply issues and haven't lowered many of them back down. Absolutely true. I mean, I remember I used to take pictures of the stinking Walmart that's basically swallowed up all the commerce in the area I live in. All the mom and pop shops have closed down, and Walmart has just grown exponentially. But go to the shelves, I don't know who's stocking them, but they ain't stocked with much, which is shocking, right? Because you think that one of the things that you went to grad school and you were looking at business cases from Harvard Business Review and stuff like that, you see that supply chain management was Walmart's claim to fame. That's like the thing, the just in time inventory management that made Walmart, aside from cutting everybody the hell out and all these sweetheart deals behind the scenes. So yeah, definitely an issue here with monopoly power and prices staying up for price gouging and so forth. Were I to be president for a day, I might take some direct action on that, because I'm not a big fan of the free market, if you haven't figured it out by now. Um, it's definitely not a price of bread equation. That's right. Absolutely not. Let's see. When Biden closed the here, let's put this up here. When Biden closed the Keystone Pipeline, Canada retaliated by not shipping lumber to the US. They showed lumber sitting at the lumber yard. Imagine that. Big producers playing games, creating shortages, creating inflation. It's not inflation unless it's all prices rising, right? So most of this stuff is a relative value story. But what happens with lumber? You build houses with it, you build a whole bunch of stuff with it. Lumber is a huge thing. And you figure, I imagine trees and stuff like that fit into the paper mills and so forth. So I think that the lumber industry, by them playing games, I think it's a great point for sure. It is absolutely price gouging. Tell me some good news. Let's talk about some good news. Well, let's get to the good news. So good news is that hey, we're alive. We have a chance every day. We're alive to take action and do something meaningful with our lives. Um, I will tell you one thing that I think is kind of a good news, bad news story there, real quick, and that is that every day I wake up, there's somebody new that I revered in my childhood and grew up watching play baseball or music, you know, etc., that has died or killed themselves or whatever. And on one hand, it's really depressing because you see how many people have died through this thing. But on the other hand, one thing that it should make us all realize is that time is precious and that we have an opportunity if we're if we're above ground, we have an opportunity to make a difference. And so the good news is that we have a chance. Is it a good chance? I don't know. That's up to each of us to figure out. I think to some degree it's kind of hard to put it on us because we're powerless. We have no institutional power. But together collectively, if we can find a way to find those right answers to problems and come together with the right solutions, I think there's a real good chance that we could change the world. That's why I keep waking up every day, and that's why I keep doing this stuff. Anyway, that's the best news I got right now. I hate to say that. Let's see here. At my store, we have rolling here. I'm going to put this up here. At my store, we have rolling shortages the way Texas experienced rolling power shortages during the ice storms earlier this year. One week it's things, the next week it's other things. And yeah, you know what? I mean, we're in very different times than we've ever been. Um, and I think understanding economics, which is not really about finance, let's be clear, macroeconomics and stuff like that is not really finance. It's really more about moving the efficient, moving of real resources through the economy. And how do we provision our nation, in a sustainable way, right? Because people out of work, that's lost. You'll never gain that productivity back. The one thing we can't gain back is time, unless we have tachyons and we can go back in time to the land of the lost, right? So ultimately, we are in a position where time is precious. Time is always precious. We have little time. So let's make the best of it. Economics, macroeconomics in particular, really does help us in terms of understanding how to distribute real resources. In a way, I know a lot of people talk about a resource-based economy, the Venus Project, and so forth. And one of the things that I think is important to note is that MMT is really truly a resource-based understanding of the economy. We always talk about cash as ubiquitous. Cash is nothing to the government at the macro level. So if we have cash being irrelevant because ultimately the government creates it at will with keystrokes, then that means that something else must be the real issue, and that is supply and demand. Do we have the real resources to lift the economy where it needs to be? And forgive me, it's now 1 a.m. So Grumbine on. But anyway, I'm hoping that most of you guys will take an interest in that because real resource distribution is what we're lacking right now. It's not cash. Cash is the easy part, but cash guarantees you nothing. So we've got to make sure that real resources are in the hands of the people that need it. If you need food, we should be able to get you food. If you need shelter, we should be able to get you shelter. If you need transportation, we should be able to get you transportation. If you need water, we should be able to get you good drinking potable water. So with that, I think it's really important to understand the role macroeconomics has in being able to empower and make come to fruition the entirety of the progressive agenda. Uh, I'll put this up there for a little bit of my own claptrap. Thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate it. Um, let's see. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to cut this off simply because I'm exhausted, but more importantly, because I wanted to show you what Real Progressives is all about. I do have one more thing I want to show you all. And it really is kind of heartbreaking at some level because ultimately, what I am about to show you um, is something that for over the last, I don't know, 7 years, we worked really hard to build. And unfortunately, Facebook has really done a number on us. But when I show you this, I'm hoping that it will help you understand where you can find us as well. So I'm going to share my screen one more time for the final bit of this podcast here. And I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to start sharing again. And let's see, share screen, and share Chrome tab. So we are going to go into our Facebook world momentarily. And so if you come in here, we have a macro and cheese page. If you come here, you can get to all of our different podcasts and so forth. Please like our pages, help us beat the algorithms. Come back here, get out of macro and cheese. And if I find it, here's Real Progressive. Now, this is the one that really is heartbreaking. When I open this up, you'll understand. Real Progressives has been around since 2015. And right now on our Facebook page, there's 4 people watching it. 4. Because they're on YouTube, the rest of them, which is fine, which is good. I want to get away from this, but I want you to see this. Insights down. These are numbers that used to be in the millions. And because Facebook, I mean, we were reaching over 30 million people a month. And if you come down here, you'll see right here. Let me highlight this for you so you can really see. 128,000 people follow us. 125,000 like our page. And yet Facebook has literally cut the spigot off. Isn't that, I mean, seriously, isn't that just freaking awful? And then, of course, we have a few other pages. We have the End the Fetish. We have Modern Monetary Theory for Real Progressives. End the Fetish, one of my favorite ones. If you look here, and one more thing I will show you real quick. We have our Real Progress in Action. And then, of course, we have the new Untouchables, which is the last one I'm going to show here as soon as Facebook allows me to get to it. And so this is for the relationship we have with the con producers and so forth. Please like and follow our pages. We're putting out tons of content. We're trying really hard to make it valuable to you. But then if I come back here momentarily and I show you our groups, this is kind of important here, right? So we have Modern Monetary Theory for Real Progressives group. Right now it's got 5.4 thousand members in it. This is just to learn MMT as a progressive. We got lots of good posts in there. We're live in here as well. I'm interested in seeing that. That's got 6 in the group. Thank you, folks, for sticking around with me. Look at the comments. It's great. Let me like that. 2 a.m. Atlantic time. Solidarity from Nova Scotia. Yay. So anyway, I'm gonna stop sharing this because I'm pretty much done now. So I'm hoping that you see that we have got a huge network of stuff going on. And we really, really need your help to get it out there, to participate, and if you think about this as grassroots built, we're just regular people. We're nobody, man. I'm nobody. I mean, I'm missing teeth. I'm freaking half the time I've been jobless because of being a contractor in the crappy neoliberal world that we're in. I mean, we're fighting for our lives as we fight to put this information out there. So just trust that even if you sometimes see something maybe you don't like, we're human. We maybe don't do it the right way. Maybe we don't say it the way you'd like to hear it. But our hearts are in the right place and we're with you 100%. We want to make sure that we're empowering all of us to have that Green New Deal. And we're trying to bring those experts to you in a way that nobody else would. I mean, seriously, have you ever tried to read some of these academic white papers? They're freaking horrible. I mean, they're great if you're an academic and they stay in that nice little glass chest that you dust off every so often, right? We're here to take these beautiful, great ideas that no one will ever bother reading and trying to make it educational, but fun and intelligently driven towards activism. Do we hit the mark? I hope so. I try to, but we don't always. But bear with us because we're just like you. We're volunteers, but we put our every moment into this, and we hope you'll support us. We really need it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being with me. It's late. Um, you know, I am extremely exhausted, as you can tell, probably by by the yawns I'm trying to hide behind the smiles. But just trust me, I am on Twitter at SD Grumbine, Grumbine. I'm kind of like the bastard stepchild with lice in his hair on the playground, it seems, on Twitter. But if you come out there, I've got some good stuff, and I hope that you'll find us, and I hope that you'll follow us. Anyway, with that, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. We'll talk soon.